Wilson.
And Chris Hemke.
And you're listening to Diesel Performance Podcast. Chris, I always get excited around this time of year because, I love tuning the trucks and working with all the high horsepower, regular pickup trucks and things like that. But we really start to dive into ag tuning, and this is when it gets really active.
Yeah, spring and fall, man. Spring and fall. Those are the two times of the year where ag is in very high demand, and rightfully so. We've been tuning agricultural equipment for years now. I always think back when Nick first started diving into some of this, and I was like, oh, why would we do that? And now I look back and I'm like, wow, I can't believe we haven't done this longer,
Well, I think it's funny that you and I both have grown up in rural Midwest.
Yes. Probably some of the most rural ass
like way out, both of us, right? Just
yep.
like way out away from any civilization.
Completely oblivious to farming.
25 minutes to get to a gas station, and yet drive past all these farms, and yet know very little about it because I know my experience of working on a farm when I was real young was shoveling shit at a dairy farm. It was not anything to do with row crop.
No.
So learning about things like tillage and different planters and planter heads and all the things that go into it and combines and things of this nature, things that we've all seen them and we all know these general words, but like I know 10 years ago I knew nothing.
Right? And you're light years ahead of that at this point, Paul.
Right.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things where we've taken a lot of the fundamentals of what we learned in common rail diesel tuning, and we're able to apply that into the ag segment. It's not about reinventing the wheel and pushing a tractor to its total limits. It's about improving the torque operating range that it operates under. That's going to help with fuel consumption. That's going to help with maintaining maybe a higher gear at a lower RPM.
Well,
okay.
What I always thought was really interesting about tractors is you start comparing it to shopping for like a new truck.
Ooh,
and you could go get a base model, and you could go get a high country Denali, right? Now, they have the same engine in it. They have the same chassis in it. It's the same truck. But in a vehicle, we would just kind of look at it as like, well, what bells and whistles do you want?
Right. Do you want leather? Do you want cloth? Do you want a good sound system? In the tractor space, it's completely different. Well, you get the same interior, but you are going to pay for 10 to 15 horsepower or 20 horsepower in a different model within the series.
There are manufacturers that charge $600 to $1,000 per horsepower as you start to increase. That just blew my mind. And listen, like when you're a farmer, picking out your horsepower is about what you need.
Yeah.
It's not about showing off to your buddy or doing a bigger burnout, right? Like it is. No. I need this to to live.
And what's interesting with that, Paul, is okay, you have a farmer. Let's say they farm 2,000 acres.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say they're pulling a 9-row planter.
Sure.
Okay. That works well in 2018. Well, what happens in 2020 when you expand and your 2,000 acre farm is now 4,000 acres and your 9-row planter is now a 12-row planter? Okay. Yeah. You don't want to go and spend $200,000-$300,000 on another tractor. And let's say you have a tractor that's an 8R, okay, an 8R series. Well, you don't want to trade that tractor in, lose your ass, buy another tractor. You know what tractor you have. It's a good tractor. It's been a good tractor for several years. Well, what we're able to offer is a simple uprate that would take your mid-range 8R up into the higher 8R series. Again, same foundation, same driveline, same drivetrain, same turbo and fuel system. Yeah. We're able to go in and improve the power output for pennies on the dollar from what it would be to trade in your tractor and buy a new one.
Yep. And this is why we love talking about this, because I think there's probably a lot of our listeners out there who have tuned their truck and have worked around farm equipment or know somebody who's around farm equipment, and like really just applying some of those same basic principles over to that end. And you start to think about it like, oh, well, it's not hot rodding your tractor. It's uprating your tractor so you can appropriately do your job and make more money. I mean, that's what it is. Guys, we have a great interview set up for you today. We're going to be talking to Jake from Crossroads Garage.
I'm really excited about this interview, Paul. I get very often guys will call in, diesel enthusiasts, and they ask, how do I get into this space? Right? How do I get to being a mechanic? Or more importantly, I want to become a dealer. I want to sell your product. I want to start my own business.
Yeah.
I think Jake does a really good job kind of explaining the pros and cons of owning your own business and what that pathway looks for success.
Do you know what's interesting, Chris, is I was thinking back about that episode we did with the guys from I Build My Diesel, who have this like awesome social media platform and really working on like the technology end of the space and have this like new product. And I think that's really cool.
It is.
But you start to like think about who could do that, and there's less and less people who would be applicable to go and start that. Now that's awesome, and that's a really cool thing they're doing. But then you start to think about, like you said, just the normal guy who loves working on his truck, loves driving his truck, was around his dad's truck. And now he's thinking like, man, you know what? Instead of working as a heavy duty equipment operator or mechanic,
right?
How do I go and do the thing I love? How do I go and take my passion and turn it into a career?
And I mean, we've seen so many guys. I mean, Paul, we've been here a long time at this point. You know, this isn't 1 or 2 years in. We've seen guys start from nothing, doing things on the side to, you know, at this point in time, they've had 2 or 3 different buildings, and they're constantly expanding and growing.
Oh, like Nick Pregnance, Jason Worley.
I mean,
like the list goes on.
There's
and
so
on
many
and
guys
on.
that I have in the back of my head here where, you know, I started working with their account back in 13, 14, and here we are in 2021. And, you know, they're big time, to say the least. So, you know, everyone starts from somewhere, starts from nothing, and they have this vision, and, you know, work ethic plays a big role, and self-diligence, you know, that will get you to where you need to get to. So
I love that. Yeah. Hey, let's not wait anymore. We'll dive right into talking with Jake. Jake Carroll from Crossroads Garage. How the hell are you?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing so good.
Man.
Thank you for asking.
Things have been crazy.
Yeah, it has been wild in all of the diesel performance industry for quite some time now. Yeah. Jake, we know that you are owner and operator over there at Crossroads Garage. We're going to dive in and talk a little bit about starting a shop and kind of what your path to where you're at has looked like. But get our listeners started, man. How did you get started with diesel performance?
I got started in my career probably started right around 2015. I was working on stuff full time before that. Went to tech school in 2013, took a 2-year tech program, finished up just at the end of 2014, jumped into it, got a job in an auto and diesel repair shop. Was doing a lot of R&R, transmissions, drivetrain stuff. Really wanted to further my career in the diesel, so I actually went to another shop, got hired on as a lead tech, and it took off from there. And then 2017 opened up another shop. So yeah, that's how that went.
Wow.
That's awesome, man. That's a quick run through experience, right? Okay.
It really was.
What did that feel like, going from working as an employee to opening up your own shop?
It was a scary jump, I'll tell you that. I mean, I was 22 years old when I filed for an LLC. So.
Oh wow.
2 years of tech school, a couple of years working at other shops, you know, a year and a half into my career as a professional automotive technician, I had gotten my ASE certifications. I was studying like crazy, listening to all sorts of podcasts, doing all the research I possibly could. Mainly what made me take the jump was I really wanted, there was nobody in my area that worked on diesel specifically. I really wanted to grow that and become the go-to shop for that. I wanted to run a shop since I was a kid. I wanted to treat my employees a certain way, and I feel like there's a lot of the automotive aftermarket has a lot to be desired in a lot of ways. So I wanted to be able to be a shop that provided a good paying job, but also good proper training. That was something I saw lacking in the diesel and automotive just repair community.
Okay.
So getting a shop, starting a shop that was going to be able to provide good training, a good work environment, an exciting, fun, driven environment to be in, I thought was going to be a really good add-on to the diesel aftermarket.
Yeah, and I mean, you had a couple of years, you know, bouncing from a couple shops and furthering your career and upgrading your position, and you probably learned a little bit as to what you don't want versus what you do want as you positioned yourself with your own shop.
I did. You know, it's to me, you know, not only was the pay pretty low at a lot of shops in my area, being kind of a rural farming community. However, how customers were being treated was the biggest thing for me. And I knew I had a lot to learn, and it was quite the jump, but it was pretty exciting. I mean, starting out a shop at 22 years old, we started with just me. I worked out of the back of my pickup truck for about 8 months.
Oh, wow.
We went from 8 months of working just out of the back of my Dodge pickup that was not modified at all at the time to now we're 5,700 square foot. It's me and a business partner, and we have 4 full-time techs. So it's pretty exciting.
That's
awesome,
crazy.
Man.
When you say, in a rural farming community, I come from a rural farming community, and there's a lot of diesel trucks. All the farmers have trucks. So I think of it's a gold mine being in that area, specializing in that type of repair. I would have to assume you're doing well for yourself at this point as far as growing of the shop, having multiple employees. Walk me through what are some of like the day-to-day stuff, or what's the most popular repairs? What's the type of trucks that you guys have? Because I know up here we have one-sided of truck that's most popular. So what do you guys see there, and what do you play with?
We do a lot of 6.0 Power Strokes still.
Okay.
A lot more than I thought we would be doing at this point, just because of the age of them. Guys seem to be holding on to these.
There's a love.
Trucks
There's a love for those things,
man. As long as
man.
they possibly can. So
Okay.
we've got. It seems like we're bulletproof in a 6.0 Power Stroke about once a week.
Oh, wow.
We get a cab down, we're pulling in the next one. Duramaxes, LB7s, injectors, head gaskets. I got 3 cabs off in the shop right now. A 6.4 Power Stroke, getting some work done. LB7 in the shop with a cab off, getting a turbo and some other work done. And then we've got another cab off right now, starting for another 6-liter.
Okay.
So one of the things that I've learned as we've gotten a chance to work with a lot of diesel performance shops is as you bring in techs, you bring in different areas of expertise. Same thing as yourself and your business part. Everybody kind of offers their own, this job or this platform or this truck I'm the go-to guy with. What was it like finding guys who could fill some of the gaps of maybe the areas where you weren't the go-to expert, right? Like I know here, if somebody were to ask me about building horsepower on a Duramax, I'd be a lot more confident in helping them than say if somebody came in and asked how to build power in a 6-liter.
Yeah.
Right. How did that impact your hiring and your general group's knowledge of expertise?
It was eye-opening. Like I said, starting a shop at 22, I jumped into it, and it was, I was a master certified tech out of, with all my ASE certs and everything. But 22, you're still pretty young, going on 27 years old this year. So 5 years running a business, and it's, that first 8 months was like, man, I don't have a lead tech to ask. I don't have a boss to ask. If I don't figure this out, the customer's going to think I'm an idiot. So I need to, I need to do my research. I need to get this stuff figured out. So kind of, I don't know. I know a lot about a little, a little about a lot. And there's a lot of guys out there that know a lot about a little. So I think I've been able to bring that into the shop's been great, because I was able to get a lot of the diagnostic stuff figured out, whether it be on a 6-liter or Duramax. But when it came to hiring guys, I pulled a guy that was at it took me and my business partner, we actually didn't hire anybody until 2020. The March of 2020 was when we hired our first employee.
Wow.
So we've actually, all of our hiring for, our 6-man crew has been done within the last year and a half.
Oh, wow.
Which has been pretty crazy. It was just me and my service manager, Eli, business partner, for up until, from 2018, basically until March of 2020. So it was just us cranking out the work, long nights, lots of caffeine, and then pulling guys in. It's been awesome. We got a guy from a Chrysler dealership who had a lot of Cummins experience, so we were able to bring him in. But he'd also been at a GM dealership, so he had brought a lot of that in. Got another guy that worked at an independent shop who did a lot of Power Stroke stuff. So he was kind of able to take over that realm of what we were working on. And then got another gentleman from a Chevy dealership here in town who was they got slow, and he was looking for a job that was going to pay 40 hours a week. So pulling him in, that guy can have a cab off a Duramax in 2 hours. It's awesome.
No,
I love
definitely.
that.
Having the efficiency. I was telling one of the Jeremy that we have in the shop.
Super tech.
He was working on a vehicle, and I was, it was amazing. It was L5P turbo, and
Yeah.
on one of the newer trucks, and he had the turbo in and out in record time, in my opinion. And I was like, yeah, I could do it. It would be a week and a half, but I could do it. So having the efficiency being in the shop is a big deal, because you as, a business owner, time's money, right? And you need the jobs in and out, and being able to resource a good quality team around you to be able to, navigate and be able to do the things that they need to do, they become self-sufficient. And I would have to assume that, with all of that, there's motives, there's motives to everything, business growth, being profitable, things like that. But then it gives you guys an opportunity to play as well. So what do you guys got going on as far as, do you have any type of shop builds, or personal shop builds to kind of, show off what your capability is, or what do you got going on there as far as that stuff goes?
Yeah, right now we've got a few of them going on. The biggest one would probably be my personal truck. It's a 2000. It's an 04.5 Cummins. We did set 100% overs, an S480 over a Stealth 64.
Okay.
From you guys actually, and that's been just a rock solid platform to work with. It's 10 mil stroker CP3, fast 165, head studded. Calibrated power, your guys' MM3 tuning. This thing's just been a rock star for whether it be going and having fun, burning the tires off at 60 miles an hour, or hooking up a gooseneck and towing a truck over a mountain pass. This thing has been flawless.
Oh, man, Chris, you are just foaming at the mouth for this thing.
Yeah,
this is ridiculous.
I mean, I think about when I had my 07, and Nick would always joke around, it's good to experience it firsthand. And when you get a customer in-house and you get to take them for a drive, when they're on the fence about, doing some upgrades, getting them not necessarily behind the seat, but in the cab of the truck, and then go whack the throttle a couple times, they're open checkbook, hey, let's do this, So having that type of, vehicle on premises to be able to illustrate and show some of your skill sets, is a big thing. Do you ever use that truck as a sales pitch for guys when they're at the shop talking about doing a build or doing upgrades?
Oh yeah. No, I've had guys hop in this thing and say, I was thinking about doing a set of 60 horse, or thinking about doing this, and it's really it's been a lot of fun, because when I bought this truck a few years ago when I was starting the shop, I needed something to be able to tow a trailer and just kind of work, but still get decent mileage and be an all-around good pickup, and it was still reliable. This thing's been a lot of fun, because the first kind of iteration of this build was 60 horse injectors, Stealth 64, head studs, and a Smarty Senior. And it was like that for probably almost 2 years. And then, so I've been able to take customers that have been in that build and then turn around and do the 100% overs, the 10 mil stroker, the bigger fast, the S480 compounds, and show a customer, hey, yeah, you can still have fun with one of these trucks and get good mileage. I mean, I'm still rolling 18 miles a gallon on the highway on a set of 34s. So
that's awesome.
Being able to show a customer, hey, this is the value, and it's head studded. It's not like you're going to be, if the tuning is right, you're not going to be blowing these things up like these guys on the forums are talking about. You can make a truck very, very reliable, still get good mileage, and be able to do what you want when you want it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of the most popular platforms for people to turn into a higher horsepower daily driver, because it does lend itself well there, especially in that twin turbo setup. When you're working with customers, what are kind of some of the requests or the most popular stuff that customers are coming to you guys for?
A lot of guys will come in with, and I think that comes into just educating the customer. A lot of customers come in, and a lot of them don't even know what they want. They tell me, they'll walk in and they look at Eli at the service counter and say, hey man, my truck's hazing and I don't know what to do. What's wrong with it? So a lot of them, they have no idea what's going on with their vehicle, and a lot of the basic repairs end up turning into the performance modifications. A guy will come in with, a hazy LB7, and it's, hey, let's go ahead and diagnose this thing first. We're not just going to throw injectors in it because that's what, some other place said you want to do. Let's diagnose this thing. Let's get it out. Let's hook up a trailer. Let's go up the mountain pass. Let's see what your fuel temps are running at. Let's find out what's going on with this truck so we can fix it. And then we can address what you want to do with the truck. And that's another thing that's nice about having, my 03 Duramax here at the shop. One of our employees also has a souped up 7.3 Power Stroke. So we've kind of got a little bit of all three that somebody, if they decide they just do want to do some modifications, we've got a truck that they can hop in and go, hey, this is what we've done to this. And it still works every day for what we do. It's still a working man's vehicle. So we've been really fortunate to have kind of all three here at the shop at our disposal to be able to take a test drive. But yeah, a lot of it is it's taking that repair and educating the customer on how things work first, and then going into, hey, now we can go ahead and build a vehicle for you that fits your needs.
I like that. So many of our listeners are excited and want to go start their own diesel performance business or their own repair facility and specialize in trucks. And I know it's really easy to get wrapped up in thinking about how much fun it is to swap turbos or how much fun it is to do a fuel system. Hey, if that's your thing, that's your thing. But I think one of the things that like newer guys forget is some jobs suck. Yeah. Some jobs you hate doing, and you have to do them because the customer needs it. And you care about the customer more than how much you like doing the job. Give our listeners some insight here, man. What are some of the grinded out jobs that you're like, hey, listen, we can do it right, but we hate doing this job?
Oh, shoot. That's one place where I'm probably, as a 27-year-old, going into being a 27-year-old guy owning a shop, there's a lot of jobs. I honestly, man, I have to tell you, it's kind of nice being able to call one of my techs and go, hey, you're scheduled on this today because this is a job I just do not feel like doing. There are a few of those, and it's a little bit of a weird feeling being able to kind of delegate a job like that. But shoot. Some of it just gets really repetitive. I mean, nobody really likes doing U-joints on anything. And it's like, you hit the nail right on the head. Swapping turbos and making big power, it's not like we're out test driving guys' trucks all day long or doing, in a community like this. A lot of the guys, they don't have the cash or they don't really desire to have 1,000 horsepower daily drivers. So a lot of it is the brakes, the wheel bearings, hey, pull this transmission out. That's not really a fun job, having your neck cranked back and pulling transmissions out, day in and day out. It's not the funnest job, but it's still something that has to get done. A lot of the time, a transmission job, they're grimy, they're greasy, they've been driven through cow fields. There's crap all over everything. They're covered in mud. It's running down your back. It's not something that's a fun, glamorous job. But if a guy's going to build power, there's no point in throwing all that power in front of a stock transmission either. So you need to sell the customer something that's going to hold up for them, because the last thing you want them to do is come back and say, hey, it was fun for about a week, and now I have no second gear.
Yeah.
All I keep thinking about is you having cow shit rolling down your back.
Hey, that's like I said, if you want the not glamorous job, that's the one I can think of.
That's the reminder right there.
Go. So those are the ones those are the ones you pawn off.
On the lift
oh boy. Oh wow.
It's called owner's privilege, bro. You get to delegate. It's a hard thing to learn. Hard thing to learn. Good job.
Wow.
You got a 07 pickup on the lift that you're doing a trans in, and there's road grime and everything dripping off of it all winter long. It's maybe that's not the funnest job, but it still pays bills.
Absolutely.
There you go. That's the truth of it. Well, Jake, I definitely appreciate you carving out some time for our listeners. I think this has been really insightful about what it's like to kind of very quickly jump in with both feet and go start a diesel shop and build it into something where you're now growing and you have employees and it's like turning into this full-fledged like large force. What's that piece of advice you would give to somebody who wants to do what you're doing?
To think about it a lot. Take the time. Go talk to another shop owner. I am all for going and starting a business. It's the American dream, getting out there, doing it on your own. However, there are some days when it's like, man, do I really want to wake up at 4:30 and go in and work on tax paperwork 2 hours before our shop opens? And there's a lot of things that people don't think of. My dad was a businessman, so I kind of got that from a very young age that, hey, this is not all going to be glamorous. There's going to be a lot of stuff you're not going to want to have to do or handle in this job, but you're going to have to make it happen. I mean, there's weeks when I've sat there and it's I'm worried about how I'm going to cut payroll checks for guys. You know, it got slow last year with COVID. It got slow, and I had just hired 2 guys, and, you know, it's April of last year. There's nothing on the books for 2 weeks, and hey man, I'm stressed now. You know, it's not all fun and games, but it's definitely worth the reward. Just go through, decide if this is something you really want to do. Cause honestly, it might be something where you decide you want to go get a job at, you know, $27-30 an hour and go work for another guy that's willing to take really good care of you.
No, that's good. That's really good
insightful.
Advice, man.
Absolutely.
I love that. If people want to follow along or learn more about Crossroads Garage, where should they go?
Facebook, Instagram. We're building our YouTube channel. Finally, now that we've got enough manpower, we're starting to put together some footage for that. But yeah, we have our new website's up, and then Facebook, Crossroads Garage LLC, and then our Instagram, same place. We do have a Twitter. I'm rarely on that, so if that's your thing, then you probably should get on Instagram and get a hold of me there.
There you go.
I love it. Jake, thank you so much for joining us.
All I keep thinking about is you having cow shit rolling down your back.
Just